Hi, and welcome to another holiday-themed scrapbooking process video. Today I am using the November hip kits, and if this footage looks a little familiar to you, it's only duplicated footage for the first little bit. If you recall when I created my Christmas kitties layout, which uses this photo, what I did was I began to compose it on this wood background, and I made a little bit of a background using it to create a header and a footer using this pattern paper right here, which is from Crepe Paper, this really beautiful green plaid. And then I also used the manufacturer's strip at the bottom of this is also Crepe Paper, and both of these came in the kit. And so I'm just going to show you how I made the header and footer and the background paper for this page, because I end up, for the Christmas kitty layout, abandoning this background and using a different one. And so I thought I would add the footage here just in case you didn't see that layout. You could see how this background came together, because I am going to use this background on today's page. So as you saw, I cut it at an angle because for the design that I was creating on this day, I wanted to have an angled header and footer. And that would have looked fine on this page the way that I had it in my mind, but it's not going to work on this page, so I'm going to modify that background a little bit. I'm scrapping with a 4x6 photo and two 3x3 inch photos. Although it looks like my 4x6 is trimmed down a little bit smaller, I might have done fit instead of fill when I printed, which means that it probably printed at very slightly less than 6x6. You can tell because it's a little bit smaller than two of the 3x3s side by side. So I'm just pulling out my kit, and there's that background paper that you just saw me making on the other layout. And I'm thinking that this almost has a bit of a tree look to it when I put the two photos under the 4x6. See how the two photos are a little bit wider? And I'm thinking maybe I can even spread them out a little bit more. I can't decide here. I think at this point I'm actually thinking about, there's where I decide to go with a triangular theme and make it look like a Christmas tree. I have one of these triangular themed layouts or I guess triangle design, not really themed, in almost every year. And I don't really set out to do one every year, but it's a design that I don't use when it's not the holidays. So I feel like it's nice to take advantage of this quick and easy design. It really does make for fast scrapbooking. And because basically you just lay out the elements in a triangle on your page to make it look a little bit like a tree. It's tree-esque, I guess. So I'm going to start by matting all of my photos on this paper from Sweater Weather from American Crafts. And that's going to bring all of the elements of my tree together to make them look like they belong, and they're just kind of pulled together. So I'm starting by matting that 4x6 inch photo. And now I'm going to measure how wide the other two photos are with the right gap between them. And I think it came to 8.5 or 8.25. I can't quite remember. And then I'm just measuring how tall the photos are and adding a little bit because it is a mat. So I want there to be blue on the top and on the bottom. So there's my bottom component. And now I am also going to mat that top square, which is just one of the cut aparts from the kit. But before I do that, I've decided that this is, because the tree is going to be so symmetric and symmetrical and lined up, it's just not going to work with this angle cut of the header and the footer. So I'm just going to trim that down, and it still has its adhesive on it. You'll notice that there was a little bit of tearing that happened, but I just made sure that I was careful to tear it, to pull it off in a way that the part that would show would not be torn. And so I'm just basically disassembling this and then reassembling it with a straighter edge on this plaid paper. And it really helps that the adhesive is still on the paper because it actually makes that paper stick to my trimmer. And then I just have to make sure that you'll see me rubbing my trimmer. That's just me getting all of the extra adhesive off of the trimmer so that the next time I use it, it's not all sticky. I'm reapplying some more adhesive here because this didn't by the time I took it off and trimmed it down, there wasn't enough adhesive to have that piece stick anymore. But the bottom piece did have enough adhesive, but I'm just going to put a little bit more on the red piece. And now I like it better with the header and the footer being straight instead of angled. So I'm going to go back to my task of matting all three of these elements. I matted that one a little bit too wide, so I just trimmed it down a little bit more. I'm using my Stampin' Up! Trimmer for that, which is the trimmer that, it's my trimmer of choice, especially for making process videos. I find it's really lightweight, it's easy to store it and grab it and pull it out for my projects. So that center cut apart piece that's in there with the Christmas gifts on it is really just holding space. I don't really need it there, but I'm going to put some journaling there. I just don't know what exactly I'm going to do there. So I guess I'm kind of thinking about that as I'm going to measure it. And at first I thought I would use a piece of just white cardstock. And I have all of these little bits of white cardstock from a card making make and take that I made for my work party. And there will be a video on my channel shortly about that if there isn't already. And I don't know what happened here, but I didn't measure it properly, obviously. So I ended up with a chunk that was the wrong size. So I just grabbed another scrap here. This is Whisper White Stampin' Up! Paper, and I don't plan to stamp on it, so I don't really need to use such high quality white paper here, but I just had it on hand, so it was easy for me to grab it. And then I thought maybe I'd like some blue to kind of pick up on the blue that's on that top cut apart piece. That's the circle with the stars inside of it. And the blue cardstock that came in the kit isn't exactly that color, and so the stripes on this packaging from the Hip Kit Club is a lot closer to the blue on that cut apart at the very top of the triangle. And so I decided to use that as my piece for the center here because it will pick up on that blue. So there'll be some blue at the top and some blue at the bottom. And then I'm having a look at what die cuts and having a look at some of the puffy stickers from Pink Fresh Studio that came in this kit. And I thought that this one also pulled some of that blue into, there's a little bit of the blue on this puffy sticker. And I really like the phrase, and I like how festive it is. And if I put it right there on this photo, it covers up some of the clutter on my counter. And I'm not a big fan of covering clutter. Like, I like my photos to be very realistic to life. My house is usually pretty cluttered. I'm going to add this banner right here. But I found that the oranges in the bowl were just kind of taking away from the focus. I want the focus to be on both Olivia's hands making the peanut butter balls and also on the TV off in the distance, and the fact that it's not playing a holiday movie, it's playing Riverdale. And that's going to be part of my journaling. So I think that, covering up the oranges helps tell this story more succinctly visually. So you see the Christmas tree, you see the TV, you see Livy's hands, and those are the main things that you pick up on. And you can kind of see that my house is decorated for Christmas. We also have some new living room furniture that I'm happy that this photo just shows, just because previous photos of the holidays have a different living room setup. And so it'll be nice for, as you're looking through my albums, you'll see, oh, the room is different this year. And that'll be kind of interesting, I think, to look back on. So you saw me just grab some other embellishments that, what does it say there? Let me grab it. The square one, it says, "Let your heart be light." And then I also have a little banner there that says "Merry Christmas." And that is from the "Let Your Heart Be Light" is a puffy sticker. And then the "Merry Christmas" is from the crepe paper stickers that came in the kit. Now, these are not from the kit. These are Kelly Perky letter stickers, and I liked how tiny they were, and I also liked that they were a really, really light color of gray. I'm planning on putting them on the footer at the bottom of the page, and I plan for it to look kind of like a tree stand. But it's not really going to look like a tree stand. This is a very abstract interpretation of a tree design. It's basically a triangle. But putting the title right here helps it to, it helps it to look a little bit more like a tree sitting on a stand. And so now I didn't put that phrase in the center of my thicker alignment tool. So I'm just grabbing my centering ruler here and using it to help me center this on the page. So, and I'll be using my centering ruler as I put the other elements on the page as well. So I will explain to you how I use that if you're not familiar with using a centering ruler. I love having a centering ruler, although I'm not a huge fan of centering everything for these sorts of layouts. Anything with a grid or a symmetrical kind of a design, I do really enjoy using a centering ruler because it really helps. So you just center the ruler on your page, and then you can center all the elements. See how I'm putting the 0 right in the middle? And I know it's in the middle because I can see that each of the sides are a little tiny smidgen more than a 1. On that. And now I'm just going to pull this down and center this too. So I'm looking at the 2s, at the 3s on either side of that ruler. And I'm just making sure that it's centered this way as well, so that there's the same distance from the top of that photo to the top of the page. So I center the ruler, and then I center this on the ruler. So these 2 edges have to be just a little bit more than 4 for it to be centered. Now I'm going to stick down that puffy sticker, and this is pretty much how the page is going to look. So I'm not sure what I'm doing here. I think I'm going to do my journaling next. So I'm going to pull off that little piece right there. And I'm going to use my centering ruler for that as well. But before I do so, I just want to make little marks with my pencil, very, very faint marks so that they're easy to erase later, just to show where the stickers are on that so that I don't journal and then cover over it with the sticker. So I'm grabbing my Sharpie marker here. No, it's my Sharpie pen. And then this centering ruler has all of these lines for helping you to space out your journaling. I'm going to use some temporary adhesive to hold my journaling card down to my mat so that I can draw these lines. And I'm drawing them so that they're ending where the stickers are, so that I don't inadvertently journal under where the stickers will go. And this ruler is so handy to have for drawing journaling lines. As you can see, it's just so easy. There you go. And now I have these really nice journaling lines that go conveniently in exactly the places that I need them to go. So my journaling says, "This was the first year I've made peanut butter balls in ages, so it was wonderful to have both Liv and Soph join me in the kitchen, even if we watched Riverdale rather than Elf." Which I was really hoping that we would watch Elf. But the kids were set on watching the latest episode of Riverdale because it had just come out. And I squeezed in the last bit of my sentiment there at the bottom, or the last little bit of my story there at the bottom, but I think it looks okay. Now I just have to place these stickers in the places where I had decided they would go. And I'm liking how that looks. And now I'm going to put some white doodling around the outside edges of all of my photos. And that is because I did not mat them on white. And I just felt like I'm so used to my photos having a white edge around them that I felt like I needed a little something around the outside edges. And I really love the look of a doodled border around the edge of a photo. It just adds a nice whimsical casual look, especially where this layout is so lined up and precise in so many other ways. Adding some doodly borders helps to kind of casual it down a little bit for me. I know casual isn't a verb, but so you'll notice that what I used there was a glaze pen by Jelly Roll, and it goes on looking clear, but it dries whiter and whiter as time goes by. And now here's something that's totally not going to work. I thought maybe I could scatter these little buttons all over my page to make it look like a tree that's decorated with baubles and balls all over it. And maybe somebody who had a better eye for design might have been able to pull that off. I think it's a cool idea, and I wish I could have made it happen, but it ended up just looking way too random and weird in my opinion. So I pulled all of these off. And I decided that rather than placing them randomly to look like baubles all over the place, I thought instead I would go with the stickers that I already placed on this page and put one of these wooden buttons on each of those stickers so that it kind of becomes a bit of a cluster in each of those 4 places. And I'm sorry that you can't see the top one. I'll zoom out pretty soon and you'll be able to see. It's basically, I put the star one at the top. Even though it's pink and there's no other pink on this page, I just really liked that it was a star. I'm just moving some of the foam adhesive that comes on the backs of those buttons to make the buttons lay flat on the page. So there you go. Now you get to see how it looks. It's a really, really simple design. And so it took me less than 2 hours. It might have taken an hour or maybe an hour and a half or something. It didn't take too long to do this page relative to the other pages that I usually do. So there you get to see the close-up video, and I do have some photos coming up as well. And so I really love how warm that wood grain background paper is, and then to pull in the wooden buttons just really, I think that the wooden buttons helps the sticker embellishments that were already on the page really pop out and be a little bit more attention grabbing. And basically what they do is they draw your eye all the way down the Christmas tree layout. That little bird button is so cute. I love that bird with its toque. It's so cute. And then I chose a Christmas tree button as one of them just because this layout looks like a Christmas tree, and so I thought I would kind of pay homage to that. I'd like to give a very special shout out and thanks to the following diamond tiaras. Without the support of these and others who support me over on Patreon, I wouldn't be able to dedicate so much time to creating and sharing content with you guys each week. I'd also like to thank all of my viewers for letting me be a small part of their scrappy day. If you like this video, I'd love to hear from you, so please subscribe and leave me a comment or like this video or do all 3. And have yourself a really great scrappy week.